Come in, hit that like, share, and subscribe button, please. Comment where you're from. I'm gonna give it a few minutes before I get into the story. I had to go live and do this. How y'all doing this morning? I appreciate y'all rocking with me early this morning. I know it's kind of early. As soon as you come in, go hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Comment where you from, like, share, do what you gotta do. If you don't want to do it, it's cool. I appreciate the view. I'm gonna give one more minute. I'm gonna start telling the story. Comment where you from. I'm gonna talk to y'all while I'm telling the story. I know y'all gotta go to work and whatnot, so I'm gonna try to make it quick. It might be a little long one though. Comment where you from, like, share, subscribe. I'm gonna go in a minute. Hey, how you doing? Make sure you subscribe. Hello, make sure you subscribe. Okay, India in the building. What's up, India? Make sure you share the video. I appreciate it. I'm gonna get into the story. For those who don't know what BGD is, that's Black Gangster Disciple. GD Gangster Disciple. Now this story I'm about to tell is an old story. I'm in Unit 30 at the time. I'm in Parchment. I wasn't even in Unit 30 a week before it went down. So let me go back and tell the backstory. Now everybody know the BGDs and the GDs was started in Chicago, but everybody called Mississippi the motherland because mostly everybody in Chicago is from Mississippi. Mostly everybody in Mississippi is from Chicago. And the guys who started the Black Gangsters Disciples from Mississippi. Larry Hoover, David Barksdale. So let me get into the story. So before I went to prison, like I said, that ain't number BGDs where I'm from. Well, they were BGDs back then. Everybody GD now, except me and my crime partner, we BDs. But anyway, before I went to prison, a memorandum had came down that it is to be no more BGDs. Everybody converting to GD. This around 92, 93, 94 in that area. Now, in that era. Now, mind you, I wasn't plugged in at the time. I used to wear the flag. I used to kick my hat. They used to let me come around to some of the events or whatnot because I'm from the neighborhood. I'm from the town. They wanted to plug me in, but my daddy wasn't going for that bullshit. Now I ain't saying my daddy was no tough guy, but he known for he gonna pop that pistol. But so right before I went in, that's when I got blessed in. But anyway, so it was I can remember a memorandum came down that it to be no more BGDs, GDs. So they want everybody to convert to GD. But a lot of them old heads, a lot of them guys, they wasn't going. They wasn't finna convert. So what they was doing was all the people who was getting blessed in. Hey, how you doing? All the people who was getting blessed in from there on out, they became GD and not BGD. So that was what's going on before I went to prison. I can remember that. So fast forward, I get to prison and it's the same situation. I mean, it's tension in the air again from the BGDs and the GDs because the GDs saying it came down from the top that it is to be no more BGDs, but the BGDs saying I'm already BGD and I pledge debt before this honor. I'm not converting to GD, but anybody else new that's coming in, they become GD. You know what I mean? But we gonna be BGD, and they stood on that. Now you got some that did convert. for many reasons, but the main reason was they probably was scared and didn't want to get, you know what I mean, violated or smashed, so they converted to GD. Or they was too young to be BGD. So they had to convert to either GD or BD. That's what I did. I converted to BD because if you know the history, I'm not going to get all out into the history, but you know, the BDs is the first. Then it was the BGDs. Then it became the GDs and the BGs. But the BDs, what I was, it was the first. It was the BDs and the Black Stone Rangers and the Black P Stones. That was the first. So I felt like BD was closer to being BGD than GD. GD is the new. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. But anyway, so after I leave 29, I told y'all I booked from going to the field because I felt like a slave. So they sent me to Unit 30 to go to school in the school camp. Man, I went in Unit 30 a week. Like I said, you could feel the tension in the air between the BDs and GDD and the BGDs and the GDs. And you could just tell something was about to happen. So one day we in the zone. We had just came back from the child hall. I think I was in B building at the time. It was a long time ago, but I think I was in B building at the time. And then they let another building go. I think it was C building. But when C building went to the dining hall, that's when it jumped off. Now, by both organizations being up under the same umbrella, it wasn't no bloodshed. Like, you know, they ain't stabbed each other or nothing like that. It was just fight. It was just a lot of fighting because the BGDs are standing their ground saying they didn't want to convert to becoming a GD. You know what I mean? So anyway, it started off in the dining hall, and then it trickled down into the whole penitentiary. And it didn't last for about 2-3 days. But anyway, so when they get to fighting in the dining hall, it go around to each building. And it come to my building. And it went down. I'm BD. You know what I mean? You got people running around scared. You got some people now throwing hands. You know, them BGD, they were, you know, kind of older. The BGD, they were standing their ground. Them GD, they kind of young. You had some old GD. You know, it was just a brawl, man. Brothers were getting to it. You know what I mean? And so, of course, me being BD, when it popped off, I got active and I rolled with the BGDs. You know what I mean? But it lasted a couple days and it finally died down. Then after that, it was all love. But, you know, the memorandum came down that, you know, there's to be no more BGDs blessed in. From now on, they got to be GD. And the BGDs had to be a certain age. So if you was a certain age, I think at the time, I was like 17 when this happened. So you had to be at least, at the time, you had to be at least about 25 for you to remain a BGD. And if you bucked the system, then you gonna get put in that blender and out that door. But yeah, I got active. I rolled with the BGDs, but it was all love after that. So yeah, that's the story of the BGDs and the GDs going to war. To the next story, y'all be smooth out here.